Hey guys, it's your girl Samantha with Black Nation News, and I have some good karma that has come to me because this has been heavy on my heart. Bill Cosby being in prison, I just could not, really wrap my head around why our brother was in prison, how he got to be in prison, and it was just, pretty much when all those old women started coming forward and talking about Bill Cosby, I guess, molested them or raped them or something like back in the 60s or 50s, I just felt like, I don't want to dismiss people's accounts of things. I don't believe like victim shaming is good. I'll be the first to tell you guys, I don't victim shame, but I'm very straightforward on things. And let's be honest here, there is typically a statute of limitations on rape, on rape crimes. Like if you usually can't report, or rape cases, usually can't report a rape like 40 years later or 60 years later. So I think it's like, to me, it's just very strange, the things that African Americans have to live through and look at that we know in our heads it's not right. It's just common sense that this is what happened. And then white supremacy will try to tell you, no, you didn't see that. We are doing this. Like they always flip it around so they can basically do what they want to do. And that's what they did with the Bill Cosby case, in my opinion. So I'm happy. I'm happy he's out of prison. I know we're saying, okay, this is more probably the black male worshiping culture, just because we don't know if he's good. But you know what? Look at Trump. Look at Woody Allen. I mean, look at Charlie Sheen. There's so many white guys or non-black guys who do horrible things, and their community stands with them. They don't believe they should be punished. And they may be punishing them their own way behind closed doors, which is what I recommend. I don't feel like if Cosby did what he did and we can prove it, it should be like if we were in Africa. Like if you molested a child in Africa, they would take you to the, village square and stone you to death. Or, I wouldn't say you had to do it to death, but you know what I'm saying. So we should exercise or enact our own punishment, African American ADOS to ADOS, and that's the way we stay on code. That's the way we clean up our communities. That's the way we improve our communities. I don't believe that we should be letting whitey or white zaddy or white mommy tell us right from wrong. They are the last people that need to tell us, be trying to tell us what's right and wrong. Are you feeling me here? Like, are y'all feeling me? Because I just feel like I actually lost a friend behind this Bill Cosby business years ago when I was on Facebook, and when this first came out and they were bringing females out the woodwork, so that, this is how white supremacy does it. It's like if we say it enough, it'll become true. So we don't have any kind of real evidence, or any kind of DNA evidence, or any video footage, I don't even think they had witnesses to come forward and say, yes, she told me this and this. Then on top of that, a lot of the victim statements, I think they were a lot of them were recanted. A lot of them admitted they were lying for money. Some of them were questionable characters, like druggies and stuff like that. So, and I'm gonna keep it 100. Y'all know I do. It's like if these were black women, people, especially black people, we're like the hardest on ourselves and on each other than we are on any other race. And if that was a crackhead black girl sitting up there like, oh yeah, 60 years ago, this guy raped me, nobody would believe her. People would be having a field day discrediting her. So for me, I'm not going to take white people at their word. I'm just not. I'm not going to do it. Their history is a hot mess, and I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So for me, Bill Cosby, we can handle him in our community if we feel like, okay, he did this or whatever. Kind of like our Michael Jackson, whom I adore and love. He was never found to be guilty, and I don't have any evidence that he did anything. And it feels like it was a witch hunt, and that white people just hated him because he was so wildly like successful and famous, and he had a lot of power. And white zaddy hates that. They hate to see a black man be more powerful than them. I mean, I think like he was murdered. I mean, to me, Michael Jackson was murdered. I think the last thing I heard was he had purchased like Sony's whole catalog or something along those lines. And you know why the white guy is not having that. Brad is not having that. Bill and Dick, they're not having that. They're not having it. So we've lost our precious Michael Jackson. And you know, when I was on Facebook, like I was saying, let me get back to what I was saying originally. But my friend, one of my girlfriends, you know, we weren't terribly close, but we went to high school together. We ran in the same circles. We weren't like enemies or anything. I never really had anything against her, and vice versa, because I'm a pretty easygoing person. So like, I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but like most people get along with me for the most part, because I'm not like this drama-filled, narcissistic bitch, you know, on a daily basis, just in general. I can pull it out, but I'm, you know, not narcissist. That's a whole nother level of crazy. But I mean, like most females, I think we can be bitchy when we need it, you know, and I think that's a power play that we can pull out of our pockets when we need it. But so my girlfriend, you know, we fell out over the Bill Cosby drama because she was like, he did it. And, you know, I know that, I want to say like the majority of, and you guys know when I speak about people is mostly going to always be about black people. Like, so if I just say women, I'm usually probably going to be talking about us. I don't really care about other races enough to be talking about them. So let's be honest, I don't care about them at all, but that's neither here nor there. So I think that, you know, in the black community, the girls and the women, we have a lot of trauma as far as like being molested, just a lot of sexual trauma. I have been affected by it, and to my knowledge, based on statistics, I think the majority of us have been, you know, molested or raped or some way of having sexual violence. And I want to say this, you know, the percentage was pretty high as far as like black women having dealt with sexual trauma before we even turned 18 years old, which is extremely sad. Like I said, like I was a victim, I was a survivor. But so I know, if, you know, I can feel kind of like that energy that my girlfriend and was probably, you know, triggered by the fact that someone we looked up to, Bill Cosby, you know, he was Bill Cosby. He was our dad in the 80s, and he was Cliff Huxtable, and he was the black family that was successful, and he was a doctor, and he had Jello, and he had the cartoon that I can't remember the name of, but you guys know what I'm talking about. He was Bill Cosby, you know, and it was really hard to fathom that he could do these things, because I mean, before those cases really came up, I didn't even know he was really even doing things outside of his race. I really didn't focus much on his personal life, if I really want to be honest. Like, Bill Cosby was just Bill Cosby. Like, I didn't really think about who his wife was, or, you know, whether he was sleeping with white women in the 60s or whatever. I just, you know, because I grew up watching him, so to me, he was like African Americans' dad. We had a lot of fathers, and we still do, missing out of the home, and he was like our dad. You know, you could turn on the TV, he had the great advice, he was funny. He actually reminded me of my dad, if, you know, if you really want to be honest, but, you know, he had the little funny dance moves. He was great, you know, and so I think my friend really kind of internalized what happened with Bill Cosby. Like, I don't know if she was just angry at him or angry at black men in general. Like, I felt like it was more than something extra was going on with her with this story, because it's like she couldn't like objectively or be unbiased in her thoughts on the topic. And so we ended up falling out over it. And it was, it was kind of sad. It wasn't good, that we would fall out over something that like that, and I think it's just because the black community, we just have such a fractured community. We have a lot of issues that are swept under the rug. My issue was swept under the rug as well in my family. So when I'm speaking from the heart for my people. Like, I know what everyone's going through when I'm talking about it. So I'm not just talking about it from like this outsider perspective. No, it's like I went through it. I'm a survivor. I got through it. I'm still probably obviously affected by it. And so I know where she probably was coming from as well. But I was able to be unbiased in looking at the situation, because I just felt like the course, I don't trust white people. There, I said it. It's like, to me, if there's any black person after their white people's fucked up history, you're still trusting white people, I would say that's a black person that has Stockholm syndrome. So, I don't trust white people, so I don't take them at face value. And around the time that Bill Cosby's case really kind of imploded, like just all these females nowhere, they were on the Time magazine cover. It was like, because they had been talking about his stuff, over the last decades. And I heard of here and there, he had done some things, I think. I can't even remember. It was so long ago. But I feel like this was building over time. Like, I can't remember if, sometimes you'll remember some history, but you don't know if you remember it because your parents told you it over and over, or because you were there. And so I feel like I was involved with that case so much on social media that I don't know if I knew already that the FBI or police or whoever was investigating Bill Cosby, or if I really knew that before the story came up in like recently, where he got convicted for it. So oh, sorry guys, my battery is like acting up a bit. I hate these chargers. They're so cheap. But yeah, so I don't trust white people on face value. I don't take them on face value. I just don't. And I don't feel bad about that. I think everybody should second guess other races when they say stuff about us. Like, why are we trusting these people like they're the smartest people on earth? Give me a break. It's not true. So with the whole Cosby thing, like, of course I'm gonna dig. I'm a researcher. Like, I went to college, I researched, and I want to find out like what's really going on here. And plus, I know, because I was kind of going through this awakening of just realizing what the fuck system we live in, of white supremacy. Because I grew up like probably like a lot of black people, just there's no color, and we all treat people the way you want to be treated, all those things. And so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, like when I realized that white supremacy was real, for one, because when I was a kid, I remember trying to bring up white supremacy, and it was like the elders were like, shh, 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 like it was like this hush thing. You don't talk about it. Like, it was the boogeyman. That's how I saw it as a child. Like, I was like, what's the big deal? Like, if it exists, it exists, So even back then, I've always been outspoken and wanting what's right for my people, especially. And so, I just, like, when I found out white supremacy was like a real thing, because obviously it's a real thing, but, like, I know a lot of our elders hid it. They didn't talk about what happened, just like with Tulsa, Oklahoma. Everything was kept hush, hush, quiet, quiet. They were scared. And that's understandable. So I didn't find out really how fucked up the system was. Like, really, how deep the racism went and the hatred, until I was like in my mid-20s, maybe. Like, I didn't even know we were enslaved for 400 years until I went to college. And you might be like, how did you not know that? I know they taught you that in school. But our schools are crap when it comes to talking about the American history story, like our real true American history. And they glaze over things, and it's like, yeah, we did some things to black folks, and then Abraham Lincoln freed everybody, and Martin Luther King had a dream, and happy ending. The end. It's just like not in depth enough, and that's why I do have a video on here where I'm like trying to get people to really support the critical race theory. I don't really care about the semantics. I've heard people say, call it what it is. It's white supremacy, blah 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 blah, and I don't care what you call it. Just teach it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just teach critical race theory, because we know what they're talking about. You're teaching the truth about this country. You're teaching how racism and white supremacy is baked into everything, every fabric of this, like the very fabric of how this country was made. It's in the schools, it's in the banks, it's in the homes, it's in the housing, it's in the, everywhere. It's in the TV programming, like you name it. Is racism and white supremacy is baked in for white people to win and to always have like the upper hand compared to everybody else. So I'm not want to be like crying over semantics, like, oh, you gotta call it this. No, I don't care what you call it. Just get it done. Like, that's just my military background. Me and my parents, how they raised me. It's like, just get it done, execute, move out. It's not sitting here bickering, going back and forth, what we should call it. I don't care what we call it. Just teach the kids the truth, period. Like, stop lying to them, because that's why I pulled my sons out. I started to feel guilty them being in these schools, and I'm telling them one thing when they get home, and then I'm like, but don't tell your teacher, because then you might get in trouble, and they might send you to the principal's office because you're getting smart with Miss Fairyweather and telling her the truth about black people, or that Thomas Edison didn't invent crap. He stole things from African Americans' inventions and patented it. But, so I'm an activist through and through. Been one forever. So I didn't want my kids getting in trouble. I felt like I was going to be traumatizing them if I had kept them in those racist schools. I was going to say shitty. I'm going to be good. If I kept them in those racist schools, I just felt like I was going to be like traumatizing, because I'm teaching you one thing, but I'm letting them teach you. No. We're not going to do that. So I went ahead and pulled him out. My eldest, I put him out in middle school. My second oldest son, took him out. He was heading into 6th grade. But yeah, my point is, so I'm happy Bill Cosby has been released. I don't know how other people feel. I know it's probably going to be a mixed bag. Some people are like probably feeling triggered or traumatized. Like, how are they letting this, predator get out? And I'm not going to say he's innocent, because I don't know. I wasn't there. I do have some reservations about some of the things he did. Like, for me, for one, y'all already know what I'm probably going to say, but I'm like, why were you with non-black women to begin with? That's the first. That should be my second thing. But of course, because I'm a black activist, basically pro-black, that's my first thing. My second thing would be, why are you cheating on your wife? Third thing is, I was definitely disappointed that he was doing drugs and kind of using it as like a date drug, I think. But white people will say, like, oh, it was the 60s, things were different back then, so it was free love, everybody was doing drugs, so it's like you had to put that stuff into perspective. And it's like with black people, I feel like we hold our people to this unrealistically high ass standard that we don't apply to other races that have such a huge advantage over us. Like, for instance, like yesterday, I was trying to get to my appointment and not be late, and I was kind of like looking for my GPS in my phone, and this female just was honking her horn. She was angry, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, chill the fuck out, like, what is the big deal? And it was this black female, like, she passed by, and when she finally was able to pass me by, I looked at her, and we were both, it was like two black females looking at each other, like being angry together. And I just feel like, and she didn't know I was black, though. I don't, to be honest, I don't think she knew I was black. She probably knew I was most likely black. So I just felt like I didn't get that benefit of the doubt, that like maybe I'm getting lost, that grace of, let her figure out what she's doing for a couple of seconds, because I do that for people all the time. Like, if you see people a little bit lost, you just slow down a little bit, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to turn? Are you going to do this? And I just felt like it was like immediate, like I'm not allowed to make a mistake. And I feel like that's how the black community is with each other, like how we always are. We aren't allowed to make mistakes. And it's bullshit. Because it's like, of course I'm going to make mistakes because we are the most disenfranchised, the most oppressed group ever. We have so many things coming against us, like so many weapons, so many attacks, constantly pitting against, like hitting us. And so it's hard to navigate the world with that much pressure and negativity and hatred and burden just on your shoulders. You're trying to do the best you can. You know, it's like at the end of the day, I'm still human, and I do believe that most, if not all, black African Americans anyway, definitely have mental illness in this country. How could we not? We're living in this like oppressive system for like 600 years, and it's passed down from generation to generation. This way of life that's extremely racist. So of course we have mental health issues. That's why I'm very open about my mental health problems, because I'm like, please, like, why are we sweeping that under the rug? Like, I just feel like if people don't talk about stuff, it can't get resolved, it can't get fixed. Why is everything so we're whispering about everything? Like, what are we whispering about? I don't know. It's like, who are we protecting? The enemy? You're protecting the predator, the guilty. Like when victims stay quiet, you're letting the bad people get away. It's kind of like that saying of, you know, silence is compliance. Your silence is compliance. So it's like if you're silent, and I'm not meaning like when the act is happening to you, because of course you might just be scared, but I'm talking about like after it's done, if you just stay silent, that predator can go on to harm someone else. So you have to speak up. You know, you have to talk about things. If you don't talk about mental health, people are going to think that they're the only ones going through it, and then they're not going to ever get help. And it's like, no. There's so many black people I know who are dealing with depression and anxiety. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I would be surprised if black people weren't. Okay, and I know a lot of black people are. Personally, I definitely know. I've seen it. I've been in places and I've seen them coming in for their medications. It's happening. So to me, what's the stigma about? I don't know. I think it's because black people don't want to appear weak. And I'm like, well, we're definitely not weak, because we've had the worst tragedy happen to us ever, and we're still here. Like Yvette Carnell said, whom I love, I just follow her, I love her, and her co-founder, Antonio. But like she said, we're not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be here, and we're here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how much strength is behind that? We are fucking like doing a damn thing. Like, not only are we here, but we're thriving. And no, we're not millionaires. We don't have the best communities and all that. But it's like, compared to the fact that we ain't even supposed to be here, like, we just like with Black Wall Street, they didn't expect that. They didn't expect, you know, one generation and to have black people to have a whole damn thriving community and economy, and white people did not expect that, and so they've been on our necks ever since to make sure that never happens again. They integrated us, I feel, on purpose so that we could never build again. They knew that, you know, divide and conquer, and it worked. It's working, and that's why I love that I'm seeing more comments about people saying that we need to separate, because we do. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. I don't know why I'm apologizing, because I'm really not sorry, but we need to separate. It's that simple. Like, we don't get along with them, they don't get along with us. Like, this is like some elementary school stuff. Like, it's just like, I don't need to try to convince people to like me. I don't care. You know, I care about my community, my black community. I care about my family. I care about my friends. I care about myself. That's it. If you don't like me, I don't care. If you're like outside of that realm, I just don't care. You know, so I don't know why I just don't. It's like, you're not paying my bills. You're not invested in me. You know, you're trying to tear me down. I don't know why I would give my energy and thoughts to you. So this was supposed to be a happy video, but it just kind of went, as usual, went a little south, because the topic is very, very sensitive, because rape is not a joke. Sexual violence in the black community is real. It's a thing, you know, and almost everybody I know has been molested by a family member or a family friend. So I am, you know, with all that being said, I'm still happy that Bill Cosby's out of prison. I know people probably cannot believe it, but like I said, I don't want him being persecuted by white supremacists, because I feel like they have their own agenda and he's ours, you know, bad or good, bad and good, he's ours, and we can handle him accordingly. But I feel like Bill Cosby has done a lot of great things for the black community, and so we have to figure out how we're going to handle him. But it's not going to be, oh, let's throw him to the wolves, because that's what we're doing when we expect white people to punish our own. It's unacceptable. We got to learn how to separate for real. Like, no, you will not be the judge, jury, and executioner of my people. Like, you're not that guy. You're not that person. You have a fucking hot mess history of doing, you're violent, you're untrustworthy, you're just crap. You know, none of black people are crap. They're fucking crap. They have fucked up history. Everybody tries to overlook it and gloss over it and pretend they're just these wonderful beings. It's not true. So it's like, let's just look at it for what it is. You know, you're trying to put lipstick on a pig, as they would say. And I like to be straightforward about things. I'm actually going to play the video because I don't really know the details. I just remember scrolling through YouTube and saw like people post. I saw like a few video titles and people posting like the post you can put on YouTube that he was being released, and I was like shocked because, you know, the funny thing is, guys, I think I put it in the universe, and a lot of us have put it in the universe subconsciously, because I know every time I see him, my heart breaks a little. Like, I'm just like, I can't believe our elder is behind bars and we have no power to get him out. And we probably do have the power. I feel like we really do if we got organized, because we can have fake outrage over the stupidest shit. Like, oh my gosh, talk about some fake black outrage. We had outrage over Monique saying, no, it wasn't Monique. I know she talks about the bonnets a lot, but it wasn't her this time. It was like a OBGYN clinic, and they were asking women not to come in with pajamas on, sleepwear, and bonnets. And we called the place, and we lost it, and we flipped out, and we wrote letters. I don't know. I'm saying we, but it wasn't me. But it was like black women just were like so outraged and so angry about not getting to wear sleepwear and pajamas and bonnets out in public and into the OBGYN office. And I'm like, so we have a George Floyd bill on Congress's desk that's yet to be signed. We have an HR 40 bill that's been sitting on the desk for decades that's yet to be signed. We have people trying to bury critical race theory, trying to voter suppress us, you know, trying to suppress our votes. So we have bills, like, 361 bills to try to suppress the black vote. We still don't have reparations. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I'm like, so I'm just like, you know, we have so many real things going on here, and this is what you get outraged over, is wanting to look like a hot mess when you go out in public, like look like slop. Like, what are you, like, serious? This is what we're doing. Like, black people I just feel like sometimes I'm just like, come on, people, come on. Like, you can't get outraged over everything, because then it becomes like useless. It's like, great, we're outraged over someone pushed somebody a little bit. Oh my gosh, you know, it's like we can't be outraged over every little small minute thing. We need to save our energy for things that matter. Like, for instance, there was like a black, you know, I was looking at Cynthia G's post, and she said some black guy was like, I guess some people are trying to come for her. One, she's packing, which I'm happy to see. We all need to have, you know, be armed, but to protect ourselves, Second Amendment rights. But two, I'm just like, so George Zimmerman and all these race soldiers are walking about just freely enjoying life. They probably haven't even moved from their homes. They're still living in the same neighborhood. They're probably richer than before they killed unarmed black people. And I don't see any of those black guys trying to come for George Zimmerman. I think there was some talk, but that was like, what, 10, 12 years ago? I don't know. But you better not touch a hair on Cynthia G's head with your coward ass. Like, I'm just like, so this is what you get angry about, is because some white guy came onto her channel and said some stuff. Who cares? The only time you're probably angry is because you either know it's true, or you don't want to listen, you don't want to change your ways. Because if you're out really doing what you're supposed to be doing, you wouldn't even probably be paying, you wouldn't even care what he was talking about. It's like, no, I'm out here working, I don't have time for Brad. But it's like, you have time because you're not doing anything. You're at home playing video games or whatever, and you're not doing half of what you should be doing for your community. And you definitely aren't doing half of what you should be doing for your community if you're trying to come for a black woman. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm glad to see we're getting on code about. We need to handle these people that act like, what do you call it? Like rowdy children. They're just out of control. I wouldn't even call them children, because that's like mean to children. They're like animals. Like, what are you doing? You're not going to be a grown-ass man harming black women and just walking scot-free, enjoying the good life. Like, no, this shit is unacceptable. It's probably been going on for way too long. What G means by black worshiping male culture. Black males have been abusing black women and basically just destroying the black community for decades now. Just showing their ass, shootings, selling the drugs, beating on the kids and the women, killing us. I just watched a story by Paris Milan that I'm a report on. It's just ridiculous. And like I said, I'm going to have a whole series of the crazy just for the degenerates of the black race and the black community. It's just like, no, we need to call this shit out. We need to handle it accordingly. It doesn't need to be handled by white folks. We don't need to look for Chung Lee and Billy and Becky to handle our shit. We thrive when we stick together and we weed out the crap like the other races. Just get them out of there. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video.
Bill Cosby walked free today after the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania overturned his assault conviction, leaving his accusers stunned. Cameras captured Cosby returning to his home outside Philadelphia just hours after the ruling came out. The judges pointing to a vast violation of Cosby's due process rights in the decision. So what happened? Well, more than a decade ago, a prosecutor decided not to charge the actor. Cosby then agreed to testify in a civil case, and during that admitted to giving quaaludes to a woman he was pursuing. That became key evidence in the subsequent criminal trial. The judge's ruling that should not have been used, writing, "He must be discharged, and any future prosecution on these particular charges must be barred. We do not dispute that the remedy is both severe and rare, but it is warranted here, indeed compelled." They say he cannot be retried on these same charges. His attorneys said today he never should have been charged in the first place. Bill Cosby came out of his house with his lawyers today, who talked to reporters there. Cosby was silent, but later gave an interview to a radio station.
This is for all the people who have been imprisoned wrongfully, regardless of race, color, or creed. Because I met them in there. People who talked about what happened and what they did. And I know there are many liars out there.
His accuser in this case, Andrea Constand, said she is disappointed and hopes it does not discourage other women from coming forward. In 2018, a jury convicted Cosby of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault against Constand. Constand accused him of drugging and sexually assaulting her in his home outside Philadelphia back in 2004. Bill Cosby has denied all accusations of wrongdoing and said his contact with Constand was consensual. He served 2 years of his 3 to 10-year sentence. More than 60 women have accused Cosby of misconduct, ranging from groping to sexual assault to rape, going back decades. And at the time the Cosby conviction was widely considered the first major win for the Me Too movement. David Henderson now, civil rights attorney, former prosecutor, CNBC contributor. David, where does this case go from here, if anywhere?
Well, Shep, I think the basic answer is nowhere. In theory, it could be appealed to the United States Supreme Court because it does involve a federal question as to the law, but the Supreme Court's very unlikely to take this case up because it largely circles around state law. So I think that this is it. Bill Cosby's not going to face prosecution.
It's likely shocking for many in the public to read on social media. It was. Were you surprised?
I am surprised because basically the court carved out a new rule, which means that when a prosecutor makes a public statement that he's not going to prosecute an individual, that is equivalent to a deal for immunity. Because if you look at this 79-page opinion that the court handed down, they didn't say Bill Cosby's innocent, and they clarify this prosecutor made a deal under the table not to prosecute him because he's been sued in civil court. And this is an example where two wrongs don't make a right.
Was there a strong case for a reversal here, David?
You know, I don't think there was a strong case for reversal here, Shep, because I've never seen a court do this before. And what people have to understand is it's legal for detectives to lie to suspects. Prosecutors make misrepresentations on a regular basis in the context of trying to get convictions. I'm not saying that's always right. I am saying it's unusual that a time when they chose to clamp down was at the expense of a victim of sexual assault.
How rare is it, David, for an appeal like this to result in a vacated decision?
You know, Shep, I can't think of another example quite like this off the top of my head, because what's important to point out is the Supreme Court said they had a problem with the way the evidence was used after Bill Cosby gave a deposition in a civil case. What they could have done was said it was wrong to use that evidence, so we're sending this back down for a new trial without admitting that evidence during the course of the trial. That's what's surprising, that it didn't happen.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until I see you guys again, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace, love, and light. I am gone.